What's going on, YouTube? So we're back with another Sanqui run, and I was actually pretty excited to get this one, and let me just start out by saying that Krookodile's front sprite is amazing. Unfortunately, like some of the mons in the Sanqui ROMs, like in the Darkrai video, it doesn't have a back sprite, so I'm just gonna let you know that now. But with that out of the way, let's dive into Krookodile's stats. And they're quite good, a lot better than Spiritomb's in a way. We've got a massive 117 attack stat and 92 base speed, so we're going to be outspeeding pretty much everything that we need to. Unfortunately, due to our base 70 special for Gen 1 purposes, our dark type moves aren't going to be hitting as hard as our ground type moves. And you see we start with Outrage also. That also won't be hitting too hard since Dragon is special in Gen 1. And the good thing about starting with both a Dark type move and a Dragon type move is that Brock won't be a problem. And looking at the tier list, I haven't done a Ground type Pokemon ever. Well, aside from the meme Rhydon run I did last summer, no other Ground types that we've ran on the channel. I'm gonna change that eventually when I do Marowak and Sandslash. But let's just get right into the Brock battle. And I did battle all of the bug catchers in the forest along with the Junior Light Years trainer before facing Brock. It's only 3 bites to take down Geodude, and once Onyx comes out, it throws the battle by going for Rage. Yes, it knows Rage in this ROM, and Outrage hits twice, knocking it out. Let's go ahead and pick it up in Mount Moon, where we take the Superior Fossil in the Dome Fossil. Once we exit Mount Moon, after this encounter, we can get our Mount Moon timestamp, which is 21 minutes in-game time. I decided to take on Rival 2 before Misty, and I just want to give a disclaimer here in the voiceover. I feel like I'm coming down with something at this point in it, so if my voice sounds a little hoarse, I apologize. Anyway, Pidgeotto is the lead. Bite looks like it's a 4-hit KO, it goes for Whirlwind and then Quick Attack as my next bite crits and knocks it out. Abra's next, it can't attack, it goes down in 1 bite. We can move right on to Rattata. While it does get off 2 quick attacks, it's only 2 bites to knock it out. But now we have to deal with Bulbasaur. Bite looks like it's doing about a third as it puts me to sleep with Sleep Powder. I then get hit with Takedown and Vine Whip, knocking me out. And there is a pretty simple solution to this. There is a move on our moveset that I didn't use in the last battle, Sand Attack, and it can go a long way. In the rematch, Pidgeotto does us a favor and doesn't attack us. Just going for Whirlwind, it's only 3 bites to knock it out. Once again, Abra can't attack us, 1 bite, we take it out. We level up once again going into Rattata. I go for Bite, and it uses Focus Energy. We're able to knock it out. Full HP for Bulbasaur. I go for Sand Attack, it poisons me with Poison Powder. Another Sand Attack, it hits me with Vine Whip doing big damage. A third Sand Attack, and it misses Takedown. I go for Bite now because Poison's going to start racking up. A second bite, we flinch it, and a third bite to knock it out. Rival 2 down, and Sand Attack coming in clutch. As far as the trainers on Nugget Bridge, none really pose a threat. Although the movesets in the Sanqui ROMs are different, and trainers with Nidorans have Double Kick, which can be super effective, and some of the hikers can pose a problem, like the one you face before the last that guards Bill's house. Really, it's an optional hiker because you could fight the youngster instead. But me just walking, I didn't even save before the battle, but luckily I don't lose it. And we get by it pretty easily thanks to having both Bite and Outrage to deal neutral damage to the Machop and Geodudes, and we don't get hit with Karate Chop, which is a fighting move in this ROM. But before I try my hand at Misty, I'm going to get Dig from the Innocent Bystander, and thanks to the power of video editing, we don't need to see that easy battle. And as far as the battle against Misty, do you remember that episode in the anime where they were at the Pokemon Technical Institute and Graveler beat Starmie in a battle? Well, this one's kinda similar. Misty leads with Staryu, I go for Dig, it's a 1-hit KO, and out comes Starmie, and I get a little lucky. I go for Bite, it misses Hydro Pump as Bite does big damage, and Misty goes for an X-Defend as Bite gets the knockout. So a trainer I thought would give Krookodile some trouble ends up being a first try victory. I wonder if Erica will be the same later on. That'll be a problem for future me later on in this run. For now, let's head to the SSN. We'll be skipping Body Slam because, unfortunately, Krookodile cannot learn it, but we will pick up the Gentleman Candy on our way out. Under 45 minutes before the Rival 3 fight, we're making some great time. As for Rival 3 himself, he's not too big of a problem. I go for Bite, it flinches Pidgeotto, and a second Bite knocks it out. Next is Raticate, my first Bite also flinches it, it gets off a Quick Attack before going down to a Bite. We level up going into Kadabra, of course Bite is a one-hit KO on it. And last is Ivysaur, I decide to go for Dig, it misses Razor Leaf, and Dig is also a one-shot. So, pretty easy battle. And in case you're wondering why I named my rival Madrybread, it's after the Sandile video he did a few months back. I thought it was appropriate. After rubbing the captain's back and getting cut, we can say bye-bye to the SSN and hello to Lieutenant Surge. And I know what you're thinking, it's probably going to be a one-shot sweep with Dig. Well, I actually used Bite because I thought it could one-shot the Voltorb. It doesn't, it's a two-hit. It does one-shot Pikachu, and against Raichu, of course, I do go for Dig, and it is a one-hit KO. This run has been a nice change of pace from Spiritomb, even though I am coming down with something and recording this voiceover is a little difficult. But we must press on. Which next up is Rock Tunnel, and on the way to Rock Tunnel, we all know about the Rapping Lass. Well, she actually beat me once, and I don't know what happened, but OBS decided it didn't want to capture any of the footage of the trainers that I battled on the way to Rock Tunnel, including the winning attempt against the Rapping Lass. Let's just pick it up outside of Rock Tunnel. 1 hour in-game time. Phenomenal. 21 minutes faster than Slacking. 5 minutes slower than Regigigas. Krookodile is definitely exceeding expectations. And there are a few different paths we can take now. I'm going to opt to do the Rocket Game Corner now because I do want to pick up some high money items along with get some extra experience and hopefully take on Erica after beating Giovanni. And Krookodile does not struggle at all in this battle. Dig one-shots the Onix, Dig will also one-shot the Rhyhorn, and while Dig does not one-shot Kangaskhan, we now have Crunch on our moveset to easily finish it off and claim the Sylph Scope. Now it's time to head to the Celadon department store where we can sell off some items and buy some vitamins. The first thing I'm going to do is give the little girl at the top a soda pop so we get TM48 Rock Slide, which Krookodile can learn and will come in handy later. Unfortunately, OBS once again didn't want to record my item selling and vitamin buying, so we're just gonna cut straight to the Erica battle. I lead off with a Sand Attack, it misses Sleep Powder, I then go for Dig as it misses Razor Leaf, and Dig is enough to one-shot it. Tangela is next and knows Mega Drain. I just start going for Sand Attack, hoping for misses, which I do get. After 2, I go for Crunch, which nearly one-shots it thanks to a crit, and another Crunch is able to finish it thanks to it missing. Vileplume is last, I don't go for Sand Attack, I just go for Dig since it has the weakest defense, and once again, one-hit KO. So Erica, first try victory. Definitely didn't expect that. With business wrapped up in Celadon, it's time to go to Pokemon Tower and face Rival 4. And with the role Krookodile is on, I don't anticipate this battle being difficult at all. Pidgeotto's the lead, Crunch doesn't one-shot it, it just goes for Tackle, and the rival uses a potion as we knock it out with another Crunch. Gyarados is next. Once again, Crunch doesn't one-shot, it goes for Dragon Rage. Our second Crunch crits though, knocking it out. Growlithe is next. Surprisingly, Crunch doesn't one-shot it, it just goes for Leer. We KO it the next turn with Crunch. Kadabra, we get a change of pace where Crunch is a one-shot. We level up going into Ivysaur, and I'm gonna go for Dig, and it's enough to finish it off. This is the point in the run where we have to decide where to go next after Pokemon Tower. Do we head to Silphco and face Rival Fivel and company? Or do we go to Fuchsia City and take on Koga and possibly go to Cinnabar afterwards? And in the next run, I actually make a mistake at this point, which I'll point out when that time comes. But for Krookodile's run, we're going to head to Cycling Road. While I could head to Silphco and pick up TM26 Earthquake, which would be our strongest move stab-wise, I feel like we save more time by leaving it there. Plus, we still have Dig on our moveset, which should be more than enough to handle Koga. Speaking of Koga's gym, it's an excellent training spot for Krookodile, since all of the jugglers use Psychic-type Pokemon, and we're a Dark-type Pokemon. It's easy experience that's going to come in great for the long run. And of course, these extra levels are going to help out when we head to Silphco next and face Rival Fivel. But for now, we have to get past the Ninja Master himself, Koga. We begin this battle at 1 hour and 39 minutes in-game time. Once again, just a phenomenal performance by Krookodile so far. And it looks like skipping Earthquake wasn't too big of a deal. While the battle would have taken less turns, Dig is able to one-shot all of his Pokemon except for Weezing, who just goes for Explosion while we're underground. With the Soul Badge in hand and a boost to our speed, we can go ahead and head to the Safari Zone, where we can pick up the remaining HMs of the run, along with some vitamins that we can feed to Krookodile. And we're in that home stretch of the mid-game, and the fact that Krookodile was performing essentially on par, if not better than slacking, I was pretty pumped. Let's go ahead and pick it up in Silphco though. Before facing Rival Fivel, we're going to make a pit stop to the 10th floor. On the 10th floor, there's this one rocket we battle, and we can get the Carbos, the rare candy, but TM26 Earthquake is the most important prize. It's going to go in our moveset right away, and with it, we can now head to face Rival Fivel, and prepare for the quickest Rival Fivel battle in existence. Rock Slide one-shots Pidgeot, don't think the crit mattered. Rock Slide will one-shot the Gyarados. We have Earthquake for Growlithe, which one-shots it. We have Crunch for Alakazam, which also one-shots it. And last is Venusaur, and Earthquake one-shots it. A clean sweep. Looking at what's left before the league, we've got the Giovanni battle upcoming, Sabrina, Blaine, and then Giovanni once again at Viridian Gym. I don't think there's going to be anything that stops Krookodile hard in its tracks. Maybe Lorelei by the time we get to the league, but again, that's a problem for future me. As for present me, well, it's time we take on Giovanni. 1 hour 54 minutes before the battle, we are making great time, and as for the battle itself, it's a pushover. He leads with Nidorino, it goes down to 1 Earthquake. Kangaskhan is next, and while it does take 2 Earthquakes to knock it out, Giovanni just uses a guard spec. We level up going into the Rhyhorn, and this thing, well, it's gonna go down with 1 Earthquake. Nidoqueen is last, and it has Double Kick, which could do big damage, but we thankfully outspeed and one-shot it. Let's go ahead and wrap up our business in Saffron by taking on Sabrina, which her gym is also a great training place, but I'll admit, I didn't do any training in her gym because, well, I felt like it wasn't needed. Krookodile is on a roll, and he's just gonna roll through Sabrina as well. She leads with Kadabra, we outspeed it, Crunch is a one-shot. Mr. Mime is next, I go for Crunch, doesn't one-hit it, it goes for Substitute, it has a sliver of health as we break the sub with Crunch, just goes for Reflect, we knock it out. We level up going into Venomoth, who's annoying in these ROMs. Thankfully, we outspeed and Rock Slide one-shots. Last is Alakazam, who goes for a turn 1 recover, and it's just 2 crunches to take it out as we win the Battle of Attrition. Krookodile is on the same pace as Slacking was when he beat Sabrina. Phenomenal. I know I've said that a lot in this video, but I'm pumped that a ground type is doing so well. Now we're gonna head to Cinnabar Island, and seeing all this water, I actually just put some hot water on the pot for myself for some tea, just to help clear up this congestion I have. It might not sound like it in this voiceover, but I am fighting a bit of a cold. But the next trainer we're going to fight is Blaine, and with both Rock Slide and Earthquake on my moveset, this is actually a perfect place to do some training before the home stretch of the run, because things are really going to ramp up at Rival 6 and the League. And considering we have to deal with Lorelei, the Rival's Venusaur twice, the Rival's Gyarados, Lance's Gyarados, and heck, even Bruno's Machamp might pose a problem. We're gonna need all the levels we can get now. And I'm actually recording this segment of the voiceover a few days later. My cold got a little bad and couldn't really record. But Blaine, as you see, we're a ground type with Stab Earthquake. It's a one-shot sweep. So now we can just move on ahead to Giovanni. And I mentioned earlier in this video that Krookodile was keeping pace with Slacking. Saving in front of Giovanni, we're at 2 hours 17 minutes. Slacking was at 2 hours 20 minutes. so we have a slight lead. And just like Blaine, all of Giovanni's Pokemon are weak to Earthquake, with the exception of Dugtrio, which just has bad defense. It's a one-shot sweep for the Earth badge. But now we have to contend with Rival 6, who has both a Gyarados and a Venusaur. Gyarados has Hydro Pump. Venusaur in the Sanqui ROMs? Not quite sure of its moveset, but I'm sure we'll find out soon enough. Both are going to be quite the obstacles for us to get by. However, Pidgeot will not pose any threat whatsoever. We outspeed it, and it's just one Rock Slide to take it out. Same can be said for Rhyhorn. While we don't use Rock Slide, one Earthquake does take it out, but now we have to deal with that pesky Gyarados. I miss Rock Slide, and Hydro Pump one-shots me. And that was without a critical hit. This could take a while, although I'm curious how much Rock Slide would do if I actually hit. And of course, I try again right away just to see. We can skip past Pidgeot and Rhyhorn, they're both one-shots. Let's just cut right to Gyarados. Once again, I go for Rock Slide. This time I actually hit, and we one-shot it without a crit. Alright, the rest of the battle from here is pretty easy. Growlithe is a one-shot with Earthquake. Alakazam, it outspeeds and tries to use Psybeam. Crunch doesn't knock it out, but it just goes for Reflect. We knock it out the next turn. Against Venusaur, I go for Earthquake. Hangs on with the Sliver, but just goes for Solar Beam. And we're able to get a victory over Rival 6 on our second try. And with the league coming up, you know we gotta talk about him. Lorelei, I can see being a huge problem. We're part ground type, and her team is all ice types. Dewgong also has Signal Beam in this ROM. Cloyster, I believe, has Hydro Pump. Slowbro and Jinx, you know, they're not really gonna do much, but Lapras could be a problem. Bruno, I could see him being a problem. Machamp, if it hits submission, could probably one-shot us. Agatha, she won't be a problem. And Lance, aside from his Gyarados, Aerodactyl might give us some trouble, but we have Outrage for his Dragonairs, which also cannot affect us with Thunder Wave because we're part ground type. And Outrage should also make quick work of Dragonite. I did pick up the extra rare candy in Victory Road, along with doing some extra training, so we're at level 53 when we get to the league. 2 hours 31 minutes outside of Lorelei's chamber. We might beat Slacking's time, or we might tie it. Let's find out. So Lorelei's first, and she's who I thought would be the hardest member. Rock Slide doesn't one-shot Dewgong, and it counters with Aurora Beam, and without a crit, it does so much damage. We knock it out with a second Rock Slide. Next is Cloyster. I go for Rock Slide again. It does better damage than I thought, about 3/4. Thankfully it goes for Withdraw. We're able to knock it out with another Rock Slide. We level up going into Slowbro, and I go for Crunch. It doesn't knock it out, it barely hangs on, and Water Pulse takes me out. And I actually think Krookodile is a lot closer to winning this battle than you might think. I'm going to use just a few rare candies and try again. I go for Rock Slide on the Dewgong. We now have the one-shot range, which is nice. Cloyster's next. Rock Slide brings it into red health. We get a Super Potion. Another Rock Slide knocks it out. Slowbro's next. Will we get the range with Crunch this time? We don't, but a retroactive Super Potion. We knock it out the next turn. Jinx is next. I could go for Crunch or Rock Slide. I choose Rock Slide. It's a one-shot. And last is Lapras. Rock Slide, I'm not sure how much it'll do. And the answer is all of its HP thanks to a crit. And I'm going to do a bit of rapid fire here. Bruno, I thought would be a problem, but his entire team is a one-shot sweep with Earthquake. And the same can be said for Agatha, except replace Earthquake with one Rock Slide for Golbat. And with 3 league members out of the way, all we have left is Lance, who remember, I thought would give us some problems. If we don't one-shot Gyarados, it's probably going to one-shot us with Hydro Pump. I do have a plan for this battle though, but the plan is dependent on Gyarados. Can we knock it out with Rock Slide? The answer? Yes we can, one shot. Now against the first Dragonair, I'm going to go for Outrage, and I want at least a 4-turn Outrage, and I need to one-shot all of his Pokemon. I one-shot the first 2 Dragonair, and out comes Aerodactyl. It hits me with Iron Head that does big damage. Outrage does maybe a third, and a second brings it to red health. It hits me with Takedown, which also crits. We're confused, but we knock it out with Crunch. Last is Dragonite. We get through confusion and hit Rock Slide, but Lance uses a Hyper Potion. And unfortunately, we hit ourselves, and Wing Attack finishes us off. I did make it back to Lance on the next attempt, but I made a huge mistake in that first battle. I was so worried about Aerodactyl and Dragonite, and Gyarados too in case I missed Rock Slide. My strategy was completely flawed. Earthquake should be more than enough to one-shot each Dragonair, and Rock Slide can take care of both Aerodactyl and Dragonite. So the second battle starts the same as the first. Rock Slide hits and one-shots Gyarados. Dragonair number 1 comes out, I go for Earthquake, and indeed it is a one-shot. So since it was a one-shot on the first one, it should one-shot the second, and it does. Alright, Aerodactyl time. It outspeeds and hits Takedown, it doesn't crit this time. Rock Slide crits and takes it out. Don't know if that crit mattered, but we outspeed Dragonite, we hit it with Rock Slide, and that's a sweep for Lance. All we have left is the champion, which we have another Gyarados to worry about, and we have Venusaur to worry about. I'm not sure what Venusaur's moveset is, but if it still has Razor Leaf, that could probably one-shot us or come close to. But Krookodile has had a great run thus far, and it's kept pace with Slacking. Let's see if it can beat Slacking. So the champion leads with Pidgeot, and animations are turned on automatically for this battle for anyone who doesn't know. Rock Slide one-shots it. We level up going into Alakazam, we outspeed, Crunch is also a one-shot. 2 down, next is Rhydon, I'm gonna go for Earthquake, and Earthquake also one-shots. Crit probably mattered there, Rhydon has great defense. Gyarados is next, we outspeed, Rock Slide hits, another one-shot, 4 for 4. Arcanine is next, Earthquake will make it 5 for 5, and all we have left is Venusaur. We outspeed Venusaur, we hit Earthquake, and Moment of Truth, 6 for 6 one-shots. And after a run like Spiritombs, this was great. I thought the only Pokemon that would probably come even close to Slacking was Mewtwo, or maybe Eternatus when we eventually backport it into Gen 1. But it was nice to see a Pokemon like Krookodile really push that limit and possibly even do better than Slacking. But let's just see how well it did. It finishes the game at level 65 with a final in-game time of 2 hours and 43 minutes. 1 minute slower than Slacking. And because of that, I'm going to put it in the S tier, the 3rd spot overall for the Sanqui runs. And since we're approaching the end of the video, of course, once again, thank you everybody for the continued support on the channel. But there's also been some changes to the channel. You might have noticed there's a lot of videos that are no longer there. Well, the playlists still are. I've gotten a lot of comments and talked to a lot of people about just doing challenge runs only. And I have come to the decision to do just that. The Let's Plays are still on the channel, they're just unlisted. The playlists are still there for anybody who is still interested in them. But I think from this point forward, I'm going to focus my time mainly on challenge runs for this channel. I mean, it's what you guys want to see, and I enjoy making them, and I want to keep putting out content for you. And as far as backporting Pokemon into Gen 1, the top 2 on my list as of right now are Regieleki and Regidrago, so we can complete that, along with a Gen 9 Pokemon who I think would be pretty interesting. One last thing I'll say is that for this month, I think I'm going to try and push out 4 runs for you guys. The next 2 Pokemon really fit the theme of the month. I've got to get started on those though. Everybody, take care, and I'll see you in my next one.